and gives you a makeup look that says you are uniquely beautiful at whatever age you are. Instead of saying, I'm still putting on my makeup as though I'm 40 and some reason it's not looking right. Do you guys find that the makeup tutorials that you see look really good on the screen, but then when you apply some of those techniques, they just don't quite look the same? If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Jody. I'm 55 and I have found that my makeup, the hacks that I was able to use in my 40s are just not effective in my 50s. And I've noticed that I have gotten rid of some hacks and incorporated some new, let's just call them techniques, into my makeup routine. And that's what I want to share with you today, because our skin changes, our face shape changes, we get puffiness, we get sagginess, we get hollowness, just a lot of stuff happens, and it happens fast, doesn't it? It's like every couple of weeks I feel like there's something else that I'm like, oh, that's a problem I now need to solve with my makeup. So that's what today's video is all about. I'm gonna walk you through how I do my makeup today and how it's changed from when I've done it in my 40s, because some of those hacks back then looked great back then, but they don't work anymore. On my skin right now, I have my sunscreen and I have my moisturizer. The first thing I'm gonna start with is my foundation. I absolutely love this Complexion Crush by Ulta. This tutorial, guys, is less about the products I'm using and more about the techniques. I'll list all the products down below in the description box, but it's really not about the products. So use the products that you have, just apply them a little bit differently, and I think you'll get a better result. So I'm gonna start with a brush. This is my BK Beauty 116. One of the first things I have done is started to apply almost every product on the back of my hand first before going on my face, because I just find that I get too much product. I don't like how strong the color is. And this is true for foundation, contour, blush, highlight, bronzer, all of it, even eyeshadows. The other thing I've done is I now like to put my foundation in the outer perimeter of my face first and then work it forward. That's different than how I used to do my makeup. And I do that because I have the most smoothness is on the outer side of my face. I have more wrinkles as you move in. My under eyes, the crow's feet, and then definitely around my mouth. Those are what I call high movement areas. So I like to have the least amount of product in those high movement areas. I still want coverage, but I want to have the majority of the product where my skin is more smooth. Wherever you put that brush down first, that's where you're going to have the most product laid down, which is why I like to do that in the smoother part of my face. So wherever that is for you, for most of us, it's in that outer perimeter, and then just work your way in, again, to those more high movement, more wrinkly, or I like to call them wisdom line, laugh line areas. And I like to use what's left on the brush at the very end to go in around the mouth area where I tend to have wrinkles, and then on the eyelids. Another change for me is I will take that foundation all the way up underneath my eye, and I do that because I don't have a ton of discoloration, which if you do, you'll want to use a color corrector, but it is a little bit lighter there. So I just need to cover it like I do the rest of my face. And then we'll go back in and brighten that under eye area, but not very much. I have found that when I was in my 40s, I could use concealer and really brighten this area up. But because that's where the majority of my wisdom lines are, I don't want to add too much brightness there and draw attention to that under eye area. So big change from 40s to 50s is the placement of my foundation under my eye area, and then the concealer. When it comes to concealer, you really want to look at your face in a mirror and see where you see the shadows. You want to put this concealer, or what I call brightener, where you see the shadows. For me, because my cheekbones are becoming more pronounced as my face is losing collagen, I have a divot on each side of my face that when you turn a certain way, you can really see the shadow there. So I want to add some lightness where there is shadow to take the shadow away. I also on this side have some puffiness. This side's hollow. So on that puffy side, I want to put a little bit of brightener on the underside of that puffiness, because again, that's where the shadow is. And then I want to brighten up just this inner corner of my eye. Now I still have a little bit of discoloration, not too bad, underneath my eye area. So I'll let that concealer sit for a few minutes. This is the Double Wear by Estee Lauder. And again, all those will be linked below. Use whatever concealer you have. And I have found that as I've gotten older, I like a concealer that is only one, maybe 1.5 shades lighter than my foundation. In my 40s, I liked my concealer to be about 2 to 2.5. shades lighter than my foundation because I really wanted to brighten everything up. That's not so much the case anymore. I want it to look a little bit more, not quite monotone, but I want to show some curve and light to the face, but not too much brightening. And after the concealer has set for a little while, I will go in with my fingertips and just lightly blend it, taking what's left on my fingertips and go to that under eye area, just so I get a little bit of brightening, but not, again, not too much. And then softly blend that up through the temples. That's another change I've made. I used to contour right through here to give everything a lift, but this part of our face as we've gotten older hollows out. So the temple area is not an area you want to put a contour or a bronzer. Nothing darker in that area because dark pulls back, light pulls forward. Think about when you wear light colored jeans versus black jeans. For some reason we look a little more slimmer in black jeans, but in light colored jeans, it just feels like we look a little bit more large. So I like to think of that concept when I'm doing my face, where I feel like things are too skinny, like where I've lost collagen and I want to plump them back up, I will go with a lighter color. Where stuff is a little bit too forward, and we'll talk about that in these droopy eyelids, I want to put some darkness to make it look thinner. I hope that makes sense. It's just an easy way to think about when you go to contour or highlight your face. It can be a little confusing, but when you think of the white jean, black jean theory, it takes all the guesswork away. So you see, I just took that light concealer and pulled it right up through the hollowness of the temples. Next thing is my contour placement. This is Lifter Stick by Maybelline number 35. I love this because it's so blendable. Two things with contour. I used to contour with a darker shade, but again, as I've gotten older, I want less contrast between contour, skin, and highlight. So I dropped down to go about 2 shades darker than my foundation. And I have a receding hairline. As I'm getting older, my hairline's going back, so I've really needed to focus some contour where my hairline, well, not where it used to be. It was never quite there, but it's definitely moved back. So I like to take my contour right where my hairline used to be or should still be and contour that in ever so lightly, blending up and away from the middle of my face. The placement of the contour is about the same that it used to be in my 40s, but the shade is definitely gotten lighter and I like this look better. And then I'll bring that down, but not in that temple area. And then diffuse any harsh lines. Then what's left on my brush, I will carve out my jawline, and I like to put that brush right halfway on the upper side of my face and halfway down below. And I do that because of these saggy jowls. I'm gonna put it a little more aggressive so you guys can really get the sense of where I'm going with this. So if you're gonna go right with your stick, you can draw it. So again, some of the contour is on the side and some is around the corner underneath, kind of like that. But you want to be able to see a little bit of it when you look at it from the side and the rest of it is underneath. Now I just applied it this way so that you could see it, but really with this you want to apply it directly to your brush when you're working down here and then blend it out. Pulling that contour underneath your chin if you're like me and your chin has definitely gotten along well with gravity lately. And then just be sure to pull that down your neck a little bit so that everything blends together. Now, if you find that you've lost a little bit of volume through your face and you want to contour some cheekbone structure, then a good rule of thumb here, I don't do this because my cheekbones are actually the other problem. Take your finger where your cheekbone is and find the bottom of your cheekbone, and then grab your brush and put it right at the bottom of your finger. So you're really defining where your cheekbone is, and then stop it right at the curve of your face. That way when you're looking straight on, you have this nice contoured cheekbone. So if you want cheekbones, that's an easy way to get them. If you're like me and you have cheekbones and you feel like they're a little bit too, mine are just too aggressive, they're too pronounced, then you can take your contour and instead of going underneath to create a cheekbone, just put a little bit of that contour right on the high point of your cheekbone, and that helps to blend it down a little bit and make it not look quite as pronounced. pronounced. I really pronounced. I don't contour my nose as I've gotten older. I just find that less is more, and my nose is what my nose is, so I don't need to contour to make it look straight and snatched and skinny and all those buzzwords for a nose these days. All right, so now when it comes to blush, the blush has changed in a few ways. One, the formula has changed. I love a liquid or a cream blush. I know many of you have left comments that you don't know how to work with a liquid blush, or you prefer your powder because it's easier. Liquid is really simple, you guys. You just want to put it again on the back of your hand first to diffuse the color, get rid of any of the patchiness, the blotchiness, and then pick up a fluffy brush. I prefer a smaller fluffy brush because I like the precision of where I want to put this. Just pick that up on the back of your hand, and then I like to find my cheekbone again with my finger and just lightly bring this out and around my face. I find that that's the best placement for my individual face. So many tutorials tell you to look at the apples of your cheek or to place it right here. Well, right here on me is different than right here on you. So use your structure to create the best look by finding your cheekbone and putting that blush on the high part of that cheekbone, because that's where you kind of get flush if you're doing something that causes your heart rate to go up and get kind of flushed. And then just bring it to about the start of your face where your face starts to curve. Really nice placement. It looks very flattering because it's flattering for your face. And the thing about liquid blushes is you can always go back and build them up. This is Hourglass Unreal. It's one of my favorites because it just gives you that nice flush of color without looking like you've put on too much blush. And again, I like a fluffier brush, but not a big brush, because I find that some of these bigger ones put too much product. You can see the difference. I like to control where the blush goes on my more mature face. When I was in my 40s, I don't think I cared as much because it looked good kind of wherever it landed. Not so much the case anymore. All right, you guys, the next area we're gonna talk about is the eyebrows. Now, back in my 40s, I had nicer shaped eyebrows and really nice straight arches, straight lines. That's not so much the case anymore. You've probably all seen this where you take a pencil and you just put it on the side of your nose. That's where your eyebrow should start. And mine are definitely too short. So I want to just make a mark so I know how much drawing I need to do. So what you're doing here is you're elongating your brows, and you would be surprised how big of an impact this makes. The key here is to just draw a line from where your new mark is to your brows, top and bottom. I did bottom and top, but you know what I mean. And then fill them in with little brush strokes. And the smaller the brush strokes, the better. You really don't want your brows to be solid, so really light-handed brush strokes. The other big change I've made is that I have warmed up my brow pencil. I used to go with a shade that was same as my root color. Now I like to go just a shade lighter and a little bit warmer. I am not somebody that likes anything warm when it comes to my face because, well, I was teased as a kid that I look like Ronald McDonald. And for some reason that's just always haunted me. So I stay away from warms. I like neutral to cool. But I like a brow pencil that is just a little bit more warm. As we age, our eyelashes and our eyebrows can start to lose some pigmentation. They will eventually go gray for most people. But as they're going through that process, the vibrant color that it once was starts to diminish. So I like to bring a little bit of warmth back into my eyebrows, and that's made a big change. So if you find that you are using the same brow pencil that you've always used, just warm it up just a little bit, and I think you'll really like the look. And the last thing that I've changed when it comes to my brows is take the tail and kick it a little bit more back instead of down. When you have your brow go down, it has a tendency to just pull things down. So I like to take it just at the tail and just flick it out ever so lightly. Just gives a little bit of a lift to the outer parts of your face without, what am I doing? Now each of these tips may seem very subtle, but when you add them all together, it does make a difference with your final look. This is the Gimme Brow Volumizing Pencil, and it's actually just more of a pencil. I don't know why they call it volumizing. I mean, it's a thicker pencil than a Anastasia Beverly Hills, for example, which you can use. I just find these fast. And honestly, I don't think I have one of these in a light enough shade right now, so I need to get one. Until I do, this is working just fine. And this is shade, I'll have to link it down below, you guys, because I have to get out my reading glasses because My 55-year-old eyes have no shot of looking at this pencil and telling you what shade it is. Now, when it comes to my eyes, one of the biggest changes I've noticed is I have gotten more droopy with this part. This part of my eye feels like I've got a big fat pocket in it because it keeps getting droopier and droopier and covering my lid. So I want to make this appear farther back. But if you have deep set eyes like I do, this can be tricky because you already have a deep socket. You don't want to highlight that socket by putting a dark color in that socket, which essentially makes it look even farther back. So I'm just going to take a shade that is a little bit darker than my crease when I see it, and I'm just gonna mix these two together. This is Natasha Denona's new palette. This is the soft version. There's two, one's dramatic, one's soft. I really like this one. And I'm going to, this is the Nikki the Rose in 13. Love this brush for eyeshadow. I'm gonna go above that crease and darken that puffy area or the droopy area so that it essentially pulls it back. But you'll notice I'm not putting any of this darker color in that crease because there's already a natural shadow there. Just like when we were using our concealer, you want to put something light where there's dark. Same is true for your eyes. My crease is already there. I don't want to make that seem any farther deep set. So I'm going to very lightly put a darker color on the droopy part. And then I'm gonna take a lighter color all over the lid. If you have hooded eyes, you're going to do this a little bit different because you don't have as much lid space. So you want to create some lid space by putting that lighter color right behind your lashes to where you want to have that crease. Then you're going to create a crease with that darker shadow. So right where your crease is, kind of a rainbow effect, that's where you're gonna wanna put that darker shade. For me, my deeper set eyes, I have to do a completely reverse process and pull that darker color up a little bit higher. Another big change is I have gotten rid of my black eyeliner unless it's for a very special big glam night and have started using brown. And I just go softly across the bottom of my lashes. This is Cocoa by Jane Iredale. And then you guys, the other big change is I used to like this liner look, but now I find that it is just a little bit too harsh. So once I get it on there, and you can absolutely use eyeshadow for this, I will go in and really smudge that out because I don't want anything harsh, any harsh lines underneath my eyes. I really want it to be more of a soft, natural, smudged look. And again, if you don't have a brown eyeliner, just use one of your brown eyeshadows and it works just as well. And for a little extra staying powder, just take some setting spray and put on your brush before you go into your eyeshadow, and that will help lock in that shadow. I'm just gonna take a little eyeliner on the top just to balance out the eyes. I forgot to put my wedding ring on today. I washed it this morning and it is on the counter drying, and I just realized I forgot it. And on my eyes, the final change I've made that I've really loved is I've changed from a regular mascara. I used to use a regular mascara and then coat it with a waterproof mascara because I like the thickness and the volume of a nice volumizing mascara, but I would find that it would transfer underneath my eye area. So I have completely switched that and have gone strictly to tubing mascaras. I love a tubing mascara because it lasts all day, it doesn't transfer, and it's a breeze to wash off. You don't have to, I don't feel like I'm scrubbing with sandpaper to get my mascara off anymore. There are a few favorites that I do love. The Firework by Maybelline, one of my favorites. Sigma just came out with a new one. I actually reviewed this a couple weeks ago in a tutorial. This is called Lash Icon. This was nice too. Lash Icon, yeah. I just want to make sure it wasn't Icon Lash. It's Lash Icon by Sigma. And then the one I use all the time is by Thrive Cosmetics. The biggest thing I noticed between this one from Thrive and this new one from Sigma is the brush. The Sigma brush is curved. The Sigma wand is kind of long, so that just took me a minute to get used to. And I think the Firework one by Maybelline, yeah, it's straight also. So very similar in size, length. So going from my 40s to my 50s, I've definitely loved a tubing mascara much better. Placement of the mascara is still very much the same. I go in at the root, wiggle it up just to give every little lash that I have a full coating of tubing mascara so that it can double in size. Wouldn't it be great if eyelashes were like a beauty blender and once you added some water to them, they would just triple in size. That would have been a crazy look in my 20s, but now I could use that. All right, you guys, so now probably one of the newest changes to my makeup routine that I absolutely love. I saw Nikki LaRose do this on a video. I want to give her full credit. And I'm like, that's genius, but it'll probably look really crazy on my more mature lips, but it didn't. It looks really good. Now, I use this lifter stick, again, by Maybelline. It's the same one that I use for my contour. You don't have to get this one, but if you have a cream contour that is, again, a shade or two darker, no more than that, of your skin, then this is going to work really well for you. You don't have to get fancy with it. You're really just trying to create a contour underneath your lip because we're pretending that your lip is large enough to create a shadow. Same thing, light jeans, dark jeans, same process. Here's what my lips look like before. We're gonna add a little contour. Again, you guys see it's nothing fancy. I'm literally going on my finger. And then upper lip. But I'm only putting that in the center third of my lip. Because as we age, the distance between the bottom of our nose to the top of our lip starts to elongate because gravity pulls it down. Just look at younger girls. You'll see this is a shorter area. So we're not trying to shorten it, but we are trying to give a little bit more lip and contour, which in essence gives us a shorter look. So again, you see I'm not going real fancy. You want to blend it so that it doesn't look like you just drank chocolate milk and forgot you had a mustache. So next is a lip liner. This is Spice by Jane Iredale. I only line that same center third of my lips, meaning I no longer line these outer corners on either side. Really just focus that liner right where I put that contour. And when it came to that contour, you guys, I put it outside my lip line, not on my lip, but outside my lip line. Then I'm putting this liner right on the outer edge of the lip line. If you want to really make your lips look bigger, you can overline, making the contour even farther from your lip, and then your lip liner fills in the space. I'm not trying to do that. I mean, I think anybody that would look at me knows that at 55, my lips just aren't really voluminous and plump, but I can still make them look pretty but natural. And then I will go in with a shade. I like this makeup by Mario. This is South Shore. And I will put it right where I put that lip liner. And then blend it to those outer corners. Something pretty similar like that. And then the last change I made, you guys, I know when it comes to these changes, it probably feels like a lot. You don't have to incorporate all of them at once. Just slowly switch out one for the next. Put this video where you get ready and just do it over and over again, and the repetition, you'll get it. And if you're a girl's girl, be sure to send this to any of your girlfriends that might want to change the way they applied their makeup in their 40s versus how maybe they want to try it in their 50s. The last big change I made, I used to use a setting powder on everything. I don't do that anymore. I use a setting spray. This one's Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush, just because I like to lock in everything. You should hold this 8 to 10 inches. I don't think I did. 8 to 10 inches, do an X, and then a T with your setting spray. Don't do what I just did. Hold it a little farther away. And that will help lock in your makeup on your more mature face. All right, you guys, those are some of my best stop doing this, start doing that tips for those of us that have changed, our faces have changed. It helps contour the jawline, hides those jowls a little bit, gives some structure to your face, and gives you a makeup look that says you are uniquely beautiful at whatever age you are. Instead of saying, I'm still putting on my makeup as though I'm 40 and some reason it's not looking right. I hope this was helpful, you guys. Let me know in the comments which one of these tips you are most excited about incorporating in your makeup routine. And if you want more makeup tips, here's one of my favorite videos. Check this one out. And I'll see you in just a couple days. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.